Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have David DiLorenzo, also known as Dilo, with me here today. David combined his decades of professional experience in the music industry as well as in the insurance industry with his personal passion for health and wellness to become a valued resource to both connect and protect his clients and friends across all fields. Currently, he runs the Ambassador Group, providing insurance for restaurants and bars, and also developed the 3F IT method with an emphasis on food, fitness, and focus. Is that correct? Welcome to the show, David.
Yeah, no, it's all correct. My subcategory of Ambassador Group is called bar and restaurantinsurance.com. We insure about 500 restaurants here locally in Arizona. I've been doing it about 5 years. I've owned 13 restaurants. I'm endorsed by the Arizona Restaurant Association, the Craft Brewers Guild, and many others. So I've created a vertical and a niche in hospitality, but selling them, a product in the way of insurance.
Okay. What's the range of clients in that space? Is it
anybody that owns a nightclub in Old Town Scottsdale to Press Coffee House, to a sports bar, to fast casual, to fine dining? We do it all.
okay? What makes you stand out in the insurance field?
I think the amount of time that I've been doing it, and not just doing it, but doing it with a purpose to understand the industry. To, again, like I said, I've owned 13 restaurants, so to actually understand where the restaurateur is coming from, it immediately puts a guard down on you selling them a product, because I'm selling a commoditized product that everybody has to have anyway. So why not buy it from somebody that is A, one of them, B, understands their industry, and C, is a specialist in that has access to any and all products that are out there, as opposed to somebody else that is, albeit a generalist that may not have those same tools or, assets or resources.
Okay, sure. What are some of the nuances in that space? What are the claims that they run into that they need that expertise?
Yeah, you don't know until you don't know. So I've had many of first claims for many people when it comes to alcohol liability. So we call it dram shop in Arizona, because back in the old days, they called a shot of alcohol a dram. It was measured by, a dram per se. So they call it dram shop, but it's really liquor liability at the end of the day. And that is a Title IV in the Arizona Constitution of what regulates liquor and the overservance of liquor. So most of the claims that I see that are nasty, that are detrimental, that could be not just detrimental to the livelihood of the bar, but to those that are out in let's just say driving home and get killed by a drunk driver. And all these bars, restaurants, establishments, nightclubs, they can hold them all liable for the overservance of alcohol to them.
Okay. So yeah, that's important coverage for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can circle back to that, but then why don't you tell us a little bit about the 3F.IT method, the food fitness focus that you started?
Yeah, I mean, what if you're listening to this and you just you go to work every day, or you own a business and you're an entrepreneur, I think a lot of times what ends up happening, in my experience, whether you own a restaurant or a investment firm or you're a banker or whatever it is, what ends up happening is you put your health and your wellness secondary to your work. And so I wrote the 3F method years ago, back in 2020, I believe, or 2019, just as a free downloadable book on my personal branding website. But I just wrote that as a tool for people to be able to say, okay, this is kind of common sense reminder of things that I probably could be doing to have feel like I have a better day in and day out ability to move, to function, to feel good, to sleep right, to quote unquote eat right, that sort of thing. Everybody says that they want to do it or they try to do it, but honestly, from my experience, I see that people don't really do it the way that I think they could be doing it better.
Okay. Yeah, kind of like everybody knows how to have six-pack abs. It's just they don't actually make it a priority and keep it top of mind and have the systems in place to keep their health, make it a priority.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just did a bodybuilding competition at 50. So, I know what it takes to have a six pack abs per se, but that, is that really the overall reward? That's not for everybody. That's a one.
No, but yeah, people know how to be rich. They don't know take the steps to do it.
But that's it. But the fact of the matter is, you may know how to be rich, you may know how to get six pack abs, but most people aren't even doing the things to just even move or be healthy. They're just sacrificing everything to think that you have to go and be extreme and be rich. And no, you don't. You just need to, walk 10,000 steps a day or 5,000 steps a day or move from your desk or just, make a different choice when you go out to eat. It's all those little things that add up to what I feel is a more productive life and not necessarily, work lifestyle or personal lifestyle. It's just a more productive life to be there, to be present for you, your family, your friends, and your coworkers.
Sure. And that's ultimately, I mean, yeah, your health. If people get so distracted with work, as you said, right? They let their health slide and then they forget it's really paramount, right?
Yeah, work's always going to be there, man. I mean, always going to have something to do, right?
Right. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about your personal brand, D-Lo, where that came from as well, because you had your music career, or perhaps you still dabble in that space as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I grew up. So I was born in Arizona. I grew up here. I went to ASU and I ended up getting an internship at the time with a distribution company. One of the record labels that had hired me on full time was Warner Brother Records, which is part of that distribution company. And through that, I worked with bands. I have them here on my office wall. Aerosmith, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Van Halen. So I worked hand in hand with these bands to get their records played on the radio. Worked with bands that nobody ever heard of, but it gave me a very good analysis of A, humans are humans. B, the music business. Well, that's just what it is. It's a business, right? And it really got dictated by what the record labels wanted to put money behind, what the radio stations wanted to play for what amount of money. And so we may have many different tastes and let's just say ideas of what we want in culture, but really what I came to find is culture gets dictated to us by those that are, putting together the different artists and the different, sounds or movies or that sort of thing. So I learned a lot through that. I learned a lot about marketing, which is what I got my degree in. Graduated with Pat Tillman, actually, which is really cool, from ASU, and went to a couple classes with him, learned from him as well. But, at the end of the day, when the record industry went down the toilet because iTunes came out and, that was just the way of the future. That was technology back then, doing what technology is doing now with AI and a lot of other stuff. So you either go with the times and you pivot and you figure out what's what, or you get sucked in by it. And so I decided to pivot. And my dad, who started Ambassador Group, which you had talked about in the beginning, that's the actual name of my insurance brokerage. So we're broker. We go out to many different companies, and it started on the basis of home and auto. And that's, all my dad did. I came in with the aspect of not really knowing what I wanted to do, but I still wanted to continue in some facet of entertainment. And so I brought the entertainment aspect over to insurance, creating bar and restaurant insurance, and then exclusively going after the bars and nightclubs at the time. And it just kind of grew into its own. So I started with just me in a closet, basically working to now have a little, a medium-sized boutique agency here with 13 employees. And most all of them I've had for over a decade, if not 2 decades.
Wow. That's very impressive.
Ellie, thanks. Yeah.
When did you start your personal brand then? Was it about then?
Yeah. So back to your question. So, the personal brand, for me, really the brand was Bar Restaurant Insurance. And then when Bar Restaurant Insurance got more attached to who I was, people work with me. They work with Dave. I've always been called D-Lo, D-E-L-O, because DiLorenzo is my last name. So I just get called D-Lo. So I just started I Am the D-Lo, IamTheDlo.com. And so with time, with experience, with the ability to make mistakes, learn from them, have victories, learn from them, build and destroy a business and rebuild it again and do all the things that need to be done, came a lot of information and a lot of, let's just say, a lot of downloads from, from above to allow me to help others. And so that's where the personal brand comes in. And the personal brand comes in a place that we call community, and people are welcome to come into the community, and they're welcome to, buy courses that I've put together. They're welcome to know who my affiliates are, other people that I do business with that do business like I do, and do those, create again, like what we talked about, relationships, those synergetic relationships. A lot of times when people are starting businesses, albeit a restaurant or a clothing store, they're starting a business. They don't know where to go or what to do. But if they trust you, okay, and you're able to handle one thing for them, they're going to ask to handle 5 other things. And so to be able to coach them on that and help them with their business and all that, that's really where the personal branding came from. Because again, at the end of the day, bar, restaurant insurance will never be duplicated, because I'm the one that created that. And that's just, where that's what's been created and what's done. I don't think insurance will be done nearly the same way in the future, if it even exists at all in 20 years when I'm ready to be done.
Okay. Very interesting. Thank you. And it sounds like it happened organically, right? It grew naturally out of providing value and being a resource.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Whoever listens to Gary Vaynerchuk, that's, you take one thing away, whether you like them or not, or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's value, value, value. You keep giving value. The people that resonate with you, that attach onto that value, will ask you for more, and eventually they'll buy from you because they trust you and you've given them so much for free. And that's what I've done.
Right. Excellent. Where in there are the dozen restaurants you mentioned? How did you manage to do that with all that?
I was single most of my livelihood. I had, I went from, obviously I'm in the realm of fitness. Like I said, I did a fitness show, but I wasn't always like that. When I was younger, I was fit. And then somewhere in between, I went through the stages of, let's just say, corporate, corporate gathering and mingling. And so a lot of that entailed going out to eat a lot, but also over drinking. I haven't had a drink in 10 years and 6 months, I think. And it was for a personal choice. It wasn't like, I was an alcoholic and need to go AA. That's totally cool. That's your thing. That's what you need to do. But I cherished at that point at 40 years old, I just decided I cherished, being clear-minded for my kids and for my marriage, and, for my own personal health first and foremost. And it's been a game changer. I go to bed at 8, I'm up at 4 every single day. I make sure I get my movement and I do all that sort of stuff. So, I really enjoy just the aspect of just, wellness and all that. But I also understand where I came from and how how poisonous that whole lifestyle was when I was younger. And so during that time, because I was single and because I started making a little bit of money after year 10, I didn't really have a lot of expenses. I drove a minivan. I lived with my parents for a lot of that time because they were gracious enough. And then when I did buy something, I bought like a condo for, $500 a month. That was my mortgage. And I lived in squalor because I didn't buy a fancy car doing that stuff. Totally cool. That's what you enjoy. That's what you want to do. But what it allowed me to do is create a pot of money that I then would get talked into, because it was sexy at the time because I was out doing the stuff. And it's like, hey, if you got 10 grand, you can be this much of an owner of this restaurant. If you have 50 grand, you can be this. So I did all that. I probably spent $250,000 of money I'd saved up to be in different restaurants and get ownership. And then once I got married, that was done. But I had 13 of them. I would say financially, I probably broke even, if not came out a little bit ahead. They're probably not the best investment, but in an educational sense, I 1,000 times, X to what I got out of it, plus the relationships.
Yeah, sure. All the seminars that happened.
Right. Yeah, you can't quantify that. It's a life experience.
Call it life tuition. Sure. So you make a good point too about that's a tough space to live in and be healthy, right? Because, you're winding down the restaurant or the bar at 2 a.m. and so forth. And it's not a lot of health food and options in that space.
Yeah.
It can take a toll for sure. So is that kind of what got you into your health and wellness branch?
No, I think, I've always been into health and wellness. Like I said, I lost myself for probably a good 25 years there. In between, I had some stints of healthiness, but I just want to live longer. I had people that care about me and vice versa, and I just want to live longer. And so when I really started dialing down on my blood test and analyzing my charts and understanding, basically taking personal responsibility, look, nobody should be able to dictate anybody else of what or how to do. But, at the end of the day, for me, I feel better if I'm taking personal responsibility, for myself financially, for my family, but also my own inside, what's going on here. And if I'm not doing the things that take care of that, then what am I doing?
Right.
So, yeah. So I just like feeling better, and I've always liked to feel good in clothes and look good. And it's I don't care what anybody says, it's a confidence builder in that sense. And I'm a tracker. I'm type A. So once I start going on one chart and I start tracking and I start understanding what's in my food and how certain exercises and how certain things happen, then I really get I really get fixated on that and in love with it. And then on top of that, I found calisthenics in my late 40s and now 50s. And I love calisthenics. And that's not even lifting weights. That's just moving your bodies in ways that I've never been able to move even when I was younger. It's insane. So I want to be, if God, graciously allows me to be 80, 90, I want to be able to move and do things. And the only way to do that, in my opinion, is to keep doing it over and over so your body doesn't forget how to do it.
Right. Quality years. That's a great point. It's something that I didn't realize I learned a few years ago is that like when the elderly, right, you hear they fall and break a hip and things like that. First of all, mobility is just crazy important, but for health, but that they actually break their hip and then fall is actually usually what happens. That's how brittle their bones are, and that's why they fall, and that surprised me. And it made me think that because they just sit around all day, right? We stop moving and getting your bones, for example, are anti-fragile, right?
Right.
And the more you don't use them, they dissolve basically. And the more you use them, stronger they get. But it made me think that there should be like elderly tumbling or something, right? Things that
they have aerobics now. They have right now, which is kind of okay.
Yeah, something, right? You gotta do something. So do you follow Peter Diamandis is a big fan of the longevity stuff as well, but or Gary Brecka and his stuff as well here.
I know who Gary is. I don't follow him. I'm actually listening to one of Peter's podcasts right now about metabolism. I think it's his latest one.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, all the same players are out there, and I do enjoy listening to them. Sometimes they're even a little bit too scientific for me, and I just zone out, So I'm really into listening to like Jeremy Scott Fitness. Jeremy's one of my partners in my mastermind. He happens to be my fitness trainer out here for 10 years, but he has a great podcast and he started this way before all of us, and great following, but it's just commonsensical stuff that he talks about. And then I love 80s rock, so I'll listen to anything that has to do with old 80s music and cool stories and stuff like that. That's kind of my escapism, along with meditation and reading and playing guitar, actually.
Okay. Nice. So you mentioned 80s music, Van Halen, and guitar. Those are formative years for me too.
Yeah. If you can see this.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
You got the guitar and everything.
That's me with the Eddie Gang. And then you can see I've got both platinum records. There's me with Aerosmith there. And then awesome. Yeah. So I got my guitar in here that I play. So yeah, it's kind of cool for people to be able to, come in here and see, the old basis of what I used to do.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So, I have to ask about your friend there in the screen too.
Yeah.
I think I'm still an official stormtrooper. Actually, we do. Yes. We do, events, visiting, charity events and visiting kids in the hospital, but also, I do, for years, I did the Peoria Shop with a Cop events and stuff for Christmas and things as a stormtrooper with one of our local Vaders and stuff in the 501st Legion. It's we do things at the cosplay things as well, but, one of my favorites was doing Star Wars Day at the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
You get to go down at the Diamondbacks game and stuff and get on the field and play around with that. That's always cool. So yeah, why do you have Yoda in your office?
Well, yeah, I mean, Yoda to me is, he's a configuration of religion to me. So, everything is the force, all living things are a part of one entity, which is the force. And so yeah, I mean, it's described in our humanness as something that's, that you can see and that you can touch, and happens to be a little green guy that I grew up as a kid and I enjoyed. And, I'm a big fan of the original movies. I'm a fan of Star Wars in general. I've kind of lost track, as of recent, or,
Ditto.
yeah. But I was like kind of collected, I probably had like 6,000 Star Wars figures. They were, they were taking up the whole garage. So I sold them over COVID, just to get them out. But I love it. It's a way to be able to explain, let's just say, your passion for life and for why we're here and what we're doing here, and the things that we do to make it a better life. And I think through storytelling, which is what George Lucas has been so articulate to be able to do. Even my wife, who never saw Star Wars in her life until she met me, could understand the relationship between the characters and what's really could be going on in the world or not be going on. But at least it gives you hope. Everybody has their avatar, what they want to look at and see. So,
Right. Okay, excellent. Yeah, those are formative years for me too. Obviously, I have a bin in the garage with plastic spaceman armor.
yeah, I love it. That's great. Oh, I love those stormtroopers when they walk around and do that, because it really puts you in that realm. You're like, whoa, is this real? It's kind of cool,
right? Yeah, it's impactful. You mentioned sort of the philosophical nature of it though too, and that there's not many that have done that. The Matrix maybe had some of that in it too. The good stuff. So, let's talk a little bit more about your being Venetian, which is always exciting to meet a native, because so many of us who've invaded Arizona from other places.
Yeah.
What you've had a lot of impacts here in Phoenix, providing value to people in different ways. What's sort of on the horizon for you in terms of the community? Do you have any particular initiatives in the next 6 months or 12 months?
I do. First of all, I'm a big supporter of Local First, Arizona Local First. Kimber Lanning, who is one of my best friends. I've known her since I was probably 16, 17, and hanging up posters at a record store before she, obviously started Local First. Local First is such a great organization to support local businesses, put more money into the local economy. And again, it's not to downgrade other businesses or bigger businesses. It's just to get the message out that if you can spend your money locally, it's going to go a lot further for unity and for those people around you. So 100%. I'm a big supporter of that. I have been for probably 20 years now. And I love doing stuff with them. They have a food festival called Devour, which I'm a title sponsor for. Just a lot of stuff that goes along with that. But for me personally, I have a 501c3 called Healing Hospitality. I want to utilize that to help local hospitality businesses be able to have a resource and connection for any of their employees that are having trouble with, any sort of, whether it's depression or suicidal thoughts, alcoholism, stuff like that. Because I think it's very important that we get that message out there to help those people. I've had a lot, when I say a lot, one is too many, people kill themselves, and, whether or not that could have been prevented, I don't know. But at the end of the day, if I'm able to help and keep pumping money into a tool that gets a message out there and creates that help that could, help just one person, which is, good, then that's what I'm going to do. And so far that, I've had it for a couple of years. We've done quite a few events, that we kind of put together to bring community together. So, we did cold plunges, we did breathing, we've done yoga nidra, we did sound baths, we've done art at the Casanti, I think it is. I'm not sure I'm spelling it right. And then we did qigong in the park. So all sorts of really cool, just like active and energetic, positive, energetic events to bring community together to, help raise money. So,
Okay. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool, David. So, you also are an author now.
yes.
Can you share that with us?
Yeah. So I just had my book release party on Friday, which was amazing. It was a lot of fun. So just look, it's anywhere you can get books. I would just suggest Amazon, which is real simple, but it's it's a short little read. What I wanted to do is when I turned 50, I wanted to put something together that told the story of things that I enjoyed and what I've learned over the course of my first 50 years of life, understanding that even though I'm 50 right now, in quote unquote, hopefully middle age, if I'm lucky enough to be 100, but maybe older, right? That my life really is just getting started in the assets that I feel reborn in the sense that I know a lot more than I did 50 years ago. I gained a lot in this, dimensional shift of wisdom. And I want to be able to share that and bring that out. And so that's what I've done in this book. And it's about reigniting the spark within all of us, whatever that spark is. So for me personally, it was like going and taking guitar lessons again and taking that time out to meditate with my guitar and enjoy those things that I did when I was a kid, or listening to nostalgic music, or watching nostalgic movies, so that I can have my sensories go back to that time of when I was a child. Or, as we talked about calisthenics, I write about that in here. Why aren't more of us, even as adults, going out to the jungle gym and playing around and enjoying and noticing what's going on with our body or not? We get so stuck in this bubble of honestly, self-deprivation, of depriving ourselves of things that keep us, keep our minds healthy and our body useful.
Right.
And we think that that's what we're supposed to do because we're quote unquote old. And I know when I, would watch my grandparents are not a good example, but maybe the people associated with them were. And again, that's just how that generation was. You're 60, 70 years old. You looked at people and you're like, man, they're old. Right. And I'm looking at my 50 right now going, I'm just getting started. Like I've never had more energy, more life, more, passion to do anything. I can probably run faster and harder than most people younger than me. And so
Right.
I'm not saying that's for everybody, but there is something for everybody within themselves to rejuvenate, to give them that energy and that purpose for life at whatever point that they're at now.
Excellent. That's great stuff. Very cool. Very cool. I look forward to checking out your book.
I appreciate that.
All right. So, a question I like to ask a lot of people is reflecting back, what do you wish you would have known sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
Not to be distraught or worry about what you didn't accomplish today because of some reason of losing the sale, or somebody telling you that they're going to do one thing and something else happened. And so, to get all caught up in the mindset, like it's the end of the world, or to get all stressed out about it at the time. I get it. I think it's part of it's healthy, and you can't really avoid it because you don't yet have the life experience. So you don't understand what, what the fallout may or may not be from a choice that somebody else makes. But a lot of times, all the time, you can't really dictate or help somebody else make a choice for you or against you. You just have to put out your best effort, do what you can, and then understand that if it's something where you've screwed up, which I've done many a times, reflect back on that as a positive and just be like, okay, cool. Now I just got to move on, and I'm not going to dwell on this. I have dwelled so much in my own cesspool of, always me, sorrow, this and that. Again, I'm not regretting it. I learned from it. But to answer your question, if somebody watching this and they've had something go awry, let it go. There's just nothing you can do about it. Move on and go find something else great to be a part of. And life's a roller coaster,
Right. Reframe it in a positive way and move on.
Enjoy the ride, whether it's up or down. Just enjoy it, because what's the alternatives?
Right. Yep. Great answer. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. So for people who'd like to learn more about what you do or connect with you, what should they do?
I'm very easy to find. So, I am the Dilo on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. I have a podcast on the Dilo. Again, I have a YouTube channel, which is, what's funny is I just posted a video. So my YouTube channel is very much a branding. There's insurance information. There's a lot of personal, other stuff, interviews that I do. But I just posted a 10-second video of a tiny home that we purchased. My wife and I did, and we put it up in Show Low. It's just a 10-second video of this tiny home backing up onto our little plot of land. I've got over 200,000 views in the last 6 days. I'm like, I don't get any of that. I don't know why stuff does what it does or whatever. But anyways, my YouTube channel has a lot of stuff on there, and I am the D-Lo as well. So like I said, I'm easy to follow. You can Google it, D-Lo, and you'll probably find me first.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Thank you, D-Lo, for joining me today. We appreciate you sharing your story and insights and to success and impact here in Phoenix. A lot of great stuff.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.